This is the Lisbon earthquake of 1755 by Blake and Mackenzie. The earthquake occurred on November 1st, 1755 in Lisbon, Portugal. It occurred on a convergent plate boundary between the Eurasian and African plates, with the epicenter of the earthquake being roughly 180 miles southwest of Lisbon. It is believed to have lasted from between 3.5 to 6 minutes, with 3 distinct shakes from the earthquake. It's also believed to have had a magnitude between 8.5 to 9.0 on the Richter scale, and was followed by a tsunami and a fire that took over the city. It occurred on All Saints' Day, where tens of thousands of people had come together for church and to worship. The earthquake hit right in the middle of services in churches that were not built to withstand the shakes. The church buildings crumbled and caused a lot of casualties. The city was completely destroyed. It is estimated to have killed at least 40,000 people in Lisbon. Morocco, being 400 miles south of Lisbon, still lost a devastating 10,000 lives. When the tsunami hit the city and the fire broke out, it only added to the chaos. This image depicts the aftermath of the earthquake with the fires and the tsunamis. People had left candles in their windows for All Saints' Day, and when the earthquake hit, all of those candles had fallen off the windowsills, starting fires all around the city. People were trying to flee the burning, crumbling city by going to the ocean and escaping by a boat. However, what they did not know was that 40 minutes after the earthquake, a tsunami was going to hit. This kept people from being able to escape and only increased the death toll.
Now let's begin to talk a little bit about the timing and religious context and the cultural and intellectual impact. For starters, many churches collapsed and worships created massive casualties. This caused many survivors struggling to reconcile this disaster with their faith. Some viewed this as divine punishment, while others began doubting traditional religious explanations. Surrounding the culture, this devastation sparked widespread debates during the Enlightenment. For background, the Enlightenment was an era of reason and science. This disaster became a focal point of it. Philosophers, as you can see on the screen, like Voltaire in the top left, used the tragedy to question optimism and religious justifications for suffering. And then John Jacques Rousseau, who you can see in the middle, argued it highlighted social issues such as unsafe building practices in crowded cities. And then Immanuel Kant, on the bottom right, wrote 3 essays analyzing the event, marking one of the first attempts to scientifically explain earthquakes rather than rely on theology. Surrounding the government's response, Portugal's Prime Minister, the Marquis of Pombal, organized one of the earliest examples of modern disaster management. He famously declared, "Bury the dead and feed the living." He also implemented earthquake resistant building codes, and new buildings were tested by marching troops around them to simulate shaking. One of those buildings that was introduced was the Ponvaline cage, a wooden lattice framework built inside walls that absorbed seismic shocks, making buildings more flexible and resistant to collapse. They also rebuilt Lisbon as a model of urban planning with wider streets and stronger architecture. Now a bit about the geological source. Modern geologists believe that the Horseshoe Abyssal Plain Thrust Fault in the Atlantic Ocean could have been the source. This fault movement likely triggered both the massive earthquake and the devastating tsunami. As you can see in this photo, this is an outline of this Horseshoe Abyssal Plain Thrust Fault. And then the legacy and global impact. The tsunami waves reached as far as the Caribbean and South America, and is still remembered as one of the deadliest disasters ever in Europe.